Good morning. Welcome to the 11 a.m. Monday Morning Marketing Webcast. I am your host, Chris Bernard. I hope you had a stupendous, happy Thanksgiving, extended holiday weekend, and enjoying all of the Cyber Monday promotions from everyone in marketing and their sisters and their cousins. All right, so I got an interesting email this morning, and I kind of perused it. There's a lot of confusion, right, in my mind and others' minds about um, the concept of machine learning and artificial intelligence. Okay, so I was at a conference, actually, I was at Content Marketing World a couple weeks ago, and then the previous Content Marketing World, not last year, but the year before that, was really, really good. And the big push there was, AI and machine learning, and what we were really trying to push the edge of creating ads. Rankings are done. Trying to actually go ahead and use technology to create better ads, to go ahead and manipulate pay-per-click spends, all of that stuff, because that big web technology, right? So big data concept, trying to mull through it on a human level, or even just using different tools, is extremely difficult. Where Google's got a lot of access to information of where you're going, what you're looking at, cross-platform environments, words that you say, all of these things that, to be quite frank with you, cannot be measured and analyzed by an individual. They have to be run off of computers. And just because you have the data doesn't necessarily mean that it's important. So if Google's actually looking at spending patterns and all of that with your credit cards and that kind of information, they can go ahead and craft a pretty good model in which to be able to run ads against, right? So that it shows up to the right people at the right time. Okay? So I got this email this morning. Let me go ahead and share my screen. All right. So got this email this morning, machine learning for marketers. Think with Google's US. So this is a thought starter, and you go ahead and you actually click the link in it. It's actually kind of interesting how it kicks off. You actually, at least for me anyway, I thought it was on the wrong page. Like, what is this? What is this all about? Let me slide this over so you can see it. Probably have too many things running. So I was like, well, what is this all about? And then I end up going and clicking through it. Everything a marketer needs to know about machine learning. I go ahead and click it. How many triangles are there? I'm starting to count them. The ones inside, the ones outside, the ones, and then it switches the screen. I'm like, oh, frustrated because I want to go back and actually do the activity. Can you count the number of triangles under 5 seconds? Yeah, that ain't going to happen. All right. So, you can actually show the answer, which is kind of fascinating. Yeah, not really going to happen there. Great. You going to go away? Let me refresh the page. And we'll see what happens from there. So I won't do that again. Can you predict the next shape in the sequence, right? This is kind of giving you an idea as to what's going on. I think it's not a very good execution of it. I think my description earlier about using all these different signals that you're giving Google makes a lot more sense than this, but that's okay. At its core, machine learning is a way to quickly label and utilize huge data sets. Again, taking massive amounts of data that we are just by doing design, just by walking through and doing life and searching and buying airline tickets and drinking coffee and using the word coffee and all of that stuff. A lot of that is what plays into real information. Yes, solving puzzles can be it, but it's trying to, maybe I'm a little bit too less creative than I think I am. But I find that this is actually harder concept to grasp than in connecting that with big data and machine learning and AI. People can do this on their own, but a machine helps do it a lot faster on an infinitely larger scale. They're just trying to show you that you couldn't do that probably, count all those things, right? Again, I think it's a terrible example, but that's okay. A common mistake businesses make is to assume machine learning is magic. So it's okay to skip thinking about what it means to do the task well. Great. 85% of executives, that's people like you, believe AI will allow their companies to obtain or sustain a competitive advantage. Here's the deal. You might be able to obtain it, but to sustain, you need to be doing some things. We're going to share some of those things with you this morning, um, which is great. So, by the way, if you need help in any of this, feel free to reach out. You can go to roibychris.com, roibychris.com, schedule your 15-minute consult, and just let's talk about it, because this is kind of complicated stuff. I hate to use the word nuanced, but it depends on what your site is, what your products are, a whole bunch of other criteria. And even then, you're just basically using experience and information and tools sometimes to kind of help kind of flush out a plan, right? As people come to expect more personalized, relevant, and assistive experiences, machine learning has become an invaluable tool. We've outlined 3 considerations every marketer should make to prepare their organization for machine learning. Yeah, the recommendations are pretty basic thinking. Define your market. Define your machine learning marketing goal up front. You should be doing this already if you aren't already. But at the end of the day, whether it's you can have multiple goals in analytics land, right? You can have, if you're selling a product, obviously that is the actual recommendation, right? If you can bring it right back to that. If indeed it's you can't get that far, right? Maybe it's you're setting just a conversion value in those goals. Maybe it's downloading a white paper. Maybe it's adding an email to your list. Whatever it is, define that goal. That just makes sense regardless of whether you're using machine learning or not, because the fact is we want to know if we're spending money, we're making it, right? So slide that a little bit over here for you. Number 2, an algorithm is only as good as data. Well, yeah, Google's collecting a whole bunch of data. That's really all you need to know about this. Number 3, assemble a diverse team with the right mindset. Look, your team needs to be creative. And a lot of us, especially if you have some really great employees that have been around for a while, we all get pigeonholed into thinking certain ways. That's who we're targeting, what works, what doesn't work. This could be a great opportunity for a market plan, especially considering we're up onto next year already here. Make sure that you're actually using the information that your customers have been giving you, right? But also do a broad sweep. And we've talked about keyword insight before, where we don't actually test, we actually don't guess, we test which keywords people are using for our products and services. We'll blow out every possible keyword configuration and run it in Google AdWords and test it so that it's audited. Don't use the estimator tools. We want to find out your products, your service, your marketplace, your competitors even, right? We want to see how you or potentially could function within those environments that you currently don't play in. That's how you kind of do it. Think about it as a focus group, right? Reaching out to that audience. So definitely a good thing to consider with that. But a market plan, well, a couple of things could come out of that, will come out of that. One, you're going to know which keywords that you need to be targeting. You're going to know who to target with different types of content strategies, right? And you're going to know how to position the organization for wins because you've taken that test, that snapshot, and you've identified, yes, these are the things that truly make me different and special in my marketplace. No one else offers that, right? So definitely something that, we talk about having a diverse team, but it's more important to have a great process. In fact, was it Jim Collins, right? Good to great. Good people and a great process. Good people and a great process. When we talk about good people, we talk about ethics and honesty and hardworking, right? Being able to think outside the box and creatively team in, right? That kind of thing. When we read this statement, and even as we go a little bit further down the line, we talk about bias based on our own backgrounds, right? Our own color and race and all of that stuff. That's where this is going. And that's not necessarily the right direction, okay? Good people and a great process, all right? There are countless ways that machine learning can help your business. Yes, there are 4 brands that use to optimize their campaigns and boost marketing efforts. Basically, this is where the kind of the sales pitch goes in for some dynamic stuff for Google, and not a sales pitch from me, but just saying, look, this actually is stuff that you need to be doing. Oh, and by the way, if you haven't, let me turn this off real quick. If you haven't picked up this book, do it. Okay, I don't make any money off of this book. It was recommended to me at a conference. As you can see, we've got highlights and notes and all this, thing. This plays into how we think at this agency. So, a great book. It's not very long. It's not very heady. It doesn't go into all the details. It's like 230 some pages. Okay, written by a former executive of Google, right? But basically, I'll give you the 2-second snippet of it. Create amazing, awesome content for your guests and let Google figure out the rest. You just got to keep, I quote, feed the machine. That's the word that I like to be able to use, is word feed the machine, because that's what you're doing with this stuff. So identify your most valuable customers. Imagine your team has launched an app, but early results show users who download it only don't open it that often. It is a common problem. Only 37% of app installs remain in use after 7 days. Bet you didn't know that. That's pretty impressive information. So all of you app designers, right? All of you app developers, make sure you understand, great market plan idea, by the way, would help you understand who that audience is and create strategies around that stuff based on actual information and data, not just our opinions. New plug. Anyway, 51% increase registration, 74% decrease in cost per registration. Yes, beautiful thing here. GM's car rental app needed to reach higher value customers likely to engage with services on the app. By integrating machine learning into their campaign strategy, the team was able to spend less while growing their customer base, freeing up budget for more strategic initiatives. Again, this is actually really true. Smart ads used to suck when they first came out. For the first 3 to 6 months, they did suck. They were trying to figure things out themselves. Smart ads are basically using machine learning and AI to go ahead and generate ads based on feeding the machine content, creative, and copy, right? Then Google goes ahead and does their little mastery stuff at connecting guests. It will kick the crap out of your normal campaigns. I promise you, if you do it right, right? It will. So these are not lying statistics, by the way. Develop a custom creative. Expectations for personalization are rising, and ads are no exception. In fact, research shows that 91% of smartphone owners bought or plan to buy something after seeing an ad they described as relevant. Again, it's all about relevance. I don't care about things that don't matter to me. They will be ignored, but things that I'm interested in will grab my attention. Real basic logic and psychology there, but it works. On average, advertisers use Google's machine learning to test multiple ad creatives. Campaigns see 15% more clicks. Look, this is true. You will see more clicks. It does use the display network by nature. So make sure when you set up even like any type of creative ads and things like that, especially for like machine learning, or in this case, responsive search ads. These are actually responsive search ads where it's taking multiple headlines in it. But if you're doing smart ads or you're doing the responsive search ads, make sure you feed Google with the content that it's asking for. Seriously. Don't necessarily take the copy recommendations right out of the gate. Adjust those based on your market plan, what you know about your target market, what you know works, what you know you need to stay away from. Because a lot of times they're just too general, the recommendations from Google, and they're just not real good. So make sure your team's doing that. Make sure you're filling out multiple headlines, and they're going to test them. Here, there's this stat, 10% lift in clicks for apartments.com. Yes, the answer is yes. When you do this, you will see a lift in your throughput. Now, again, clicks are one thing, performance is another. They go ahead and they tell us in just a few moments here about that, but hold on. Make the right bid. This book goes very, very heavy into that. It says basically, let Google determine that stuff. And I would agree. I seriously would agree. There's very few things I trust Google with. In this case, I do. You will see your impressions go up, you will see your clicks go up, and you will see the cost per acquisition or the cost per click go down. It just will. Google's tools are pretty good about this stuff. 67% increase in conversion rate, 33% decrease in qualified cost per visit, 14% decrease in the cost per click. Yep, that is not an uncommon example. And this is done with a Nissan. I think it's Nissan Creative, yes. Yep. So test it out, make sure it works. Real simple. Unlock consumer intent. When people research a product, they often click multiple ads. The last ad usually clicked takes credit for the conversion. Yes, that is absolutely true, but that doesn't mean it was the most valuable. Data driven, especially if you think about the consumer buying process, there are words that every one of us or every one of our clients has that, we can, seriously, there might be like 10 actual searches for a freaking month that we own that. That's fantastic. But there might be, for every one of those, there's tens of thousands of other ones that were earlier on in the buying funnel, right? And we don't really go after those because they're not as efficient as these other ones, the good segment, right? So we often get really, the blinders like the horse focused on those things. Actually, you can't see that, can you? You go back again. I forgot how far back we went. I think it's this one. Maybe it's this one. Don't know. So yeah, these are some of the stats. 10% lift in clicks. Make the right ad. Again, like Google, do that stuff. Again, the performance here: 67% of conversion rate increase, 33% decrease in the cost per qualified visit, and a 14% decrease in the cost per click. Yes, that is true. Yes. So when people research a product, they often click multiple ads. You have to track things through the funnel. But again, focus not just on efficiency, but focus on volume as well. Right. So kind of start with that efficiency, get that working well, and then scale it out to a much broader scope. You're going to be a lot happier, and your budget's going to appreciate that as well, because you're going to be able to throw dollars towards stuff that's working, as opposed to having too big of a bucket and then trying to figure out where the actual gold is in it. The average traveler spends 13% of their time online conducting travel-related activities. Yes, that's true. Just spent last night booking another trip to Pittsburgh soon. Car, hotel, air, yep, all that fun stuff. So, does Google know that stuff? Yep. Do they know it's in my calendar? Yep. So, yep, you can target me. And it says, now that you know machine learning, so now you are just a pro, because we went through this, 10, 15 slide little presentation deck. You feel so much more learned. We're actually going to go to this crazy page here. And we're going to kind of walk through some fun stuff. First of all, I kind of actually like the creative of it. I was kind of torn when I first saw it this morning, but it's not bad. It's not terrible. I like how kind of it drops down, kind of, these neat builds off to the right. That's kind of fun. I'm just going to kind of pull out some stuff in here, and then we'll get to some of the tactics, kind of like the overall key takeaways. Or understand how your algorithmic, you know what? Here's the deal. You aren't going to be able to understand how your algorithmic bias is. Just go after the right target audience customers, right? Am I missing something here? I can't, there you go. All right. Just didn't like that. May describe seeing ads based on false assumptions about who they are. That's correct. We do that all the time. In fact, that's why you test things, right? But I think the takeaway, one of the takeaways here is that even our ability being in the organizations, or even agencies that work for those organizations, we get very focused on a specific type of consumer, right? We understand marketing personas, right? We have our best target market. That might be a person of a certain ethnic race, right? That might be a certain person from a certain area of the country, or a certain block code, or something of that nature. Look, these are just facts, all right? So, I think the challenge with this statement for us, right, is to get outside of that potentially and look at things fresh and new, right? So what it's trying to do is saying, let's assign creative, let's really go after and play that part, or bring people into the organization that fit that mindset, or at the bare minimum, at least be able to go ahead and tap that resource to find out really what that group really is interested in doing, right? So one of the examples that I have is Starcom Media Vest Group, right? We had partner agencies that were underneath the umbrella of IAC that focused on Hispanic or sports marketing, right? There's these different groups, and they just understood it much better than the general agency did, right? So there's nothing wrong with that. It's a challenge for us to actually grow and learn, which is great. Tell stories. Their stories show us that inclusive data builds trust, where unfairly biased data, and destroys, kind of cancels it out, which is true. That's the neat thing about data is it doesn't really lie if you don't twist it and turn it. Okay. So be okay and be open with that. And a lot of times, guys, it's not about, in this case, it's kind of giving you this perspective of it's just race. Like the fact is, we're all people. We're all just built differently, right? So by targeting people's interest and listening to the actual signals that are going off, which is what this is, um, you're going to be a much better marketer. So focus on that stuff, right? But try to pull yourself out of it and play the part of your actual target audience. It's totally unfair because not every woman's the same. Yes, I got that. Yep, it's true. We're thinking just based on what they think I am. Maybe, but you know what? I Here's what we do. I'll let you know this. So when we do keyword insight, right? So when we do keyword insight, we have this massive list, right? So we have all these keywords and we have these massive lists of words, and we know the impressions and we know the clicks and all that fun stuff, right? The question is, how does this keyword, let's say it's this one right here, what do we do with that? Well, with that keyword, we end up basically doing what you do. You punch it into Google, you look at those results, you say, what does Google think is important with that? Why did they put those things there? Why did they put those specific, websites up there, or that specific content or knowledge box there? Why did they do that? So you take that keyword and you kind of start picking it apart. And now you get a better idea as to what Google, I don't care what color they are or what race they are, what's going in the mindset of the user, because I'm assuming Google's technology, especially for organic rankings, is giving me that best number one, number two, number three result, right, in search. And now I'm going to go after, I'm going to say, all right, well, what components need to be in that page content or that video content? And I'm using that artfully to create optimized content on a web page on the client's website, right? And I'm creating video potentially with that, with those elements in mind. Who is this person? What do they care about based on what Google's telling me in 1, 2, and 3 positions in terms of organic? So I don't care if they're black or Asian or men or women or other. It's fine. I don't really care. But I'm using what Google's telling me in terms of that page stuff, so that we don't have these weird biases that basically kind of undercut our performance without our knowledge. Really, at the end of the day, we're just being biased. Let me go turn this back on. So very important. Once a customer's trust is lost, there's no guarantee brands can get it back. Well, that's true. Talk politics if you want, but I'm not going to go there. Now, an AI system won't work unless it can teach us underlying, and that's machine learning model, what it needs to know. Okay. Typically, a machine learning pipeline starts with developers collecting and annotating training data for the purpose. They use that data to train a ML model, again, machine learning model, to make educated guesses about the world. The better the data, the better the guess. Problems arise when the data is flawed. Rather than ask for more information, the model will simply accept those facts or those flaws as facts, leading to flawed outcomes. Garbage in, garbage out, as the computer scientists say, or just anybody who's ever done life. So again, the kind of the cloaked message here is stop being, racist in terms of your advertising campaigns or sexist or any of these, because we are going to have bias. All of us are going to have bias, right? I'm going to look at the world that way. In fact, at Home Shopping Network, one of the brands they worked on was a catalog brand. And it was funny because at this point, we were doing online ads too, PPC and stuff like that. We had data to substantiate. We're tracking through right to conversion, of course. Well, it was funny, but the CEO at the time, or the president of this brand, came in and we're looking over the data, present the recommendations and things like that. And he's like, I don't search that way. And I said, forgive me, sir, but you are not and I forget, like a 52-year-old woman, I think is what I said, because that was like the sweet spot of the target audience group. So you just, because I don't search that way, everyone else probably doesn't search that way either. That's not correct, right? So that's that bias that we're kind of talking about. Algorithms don't remember incidents. See, it gets a little crazy here, but a couple of critical takeaways with this. Yeah. I like these. These were good. I saw these earlier. Be transparent, right? Tell people how your algorithm makes decisions, which Google doesn't do, by the way, which is funny. Uh, I love how it violates its own rule. That's fantastic. Like there's like 5 people that know how this thing works in the entire world. And it's personalized, so it's even more messy than that. But so be transparent, which Google is not transparent about anything. Test, tune, and test again. Absolutely. Seek different points of view and ask questions. Those are just really, really solid challenges for us, right? In terms of our approach. But let's put some meat on this one here. Let's get some action steps, because that's what we need, right? We need action steps. Man, it happened to be going away on a couple days off. All right. So you guys can't see my screen. Let's just go ahead. See, I do like those. Be transparent. I do like those. Be transparent, test, tune, and test again. Seek different points of view, ask questions. The be transparent one, I kind of like actually as it relates to like social media, by the way, as opposed to something like this. No one's perfect. We're all going to screw up. So if somebody's complaining online about something, I've got the question asked, should I take it down? No, actually just respond to it real quick and take it offline. Chris, I'm sorry to hear about your experience. We aim for 100% satisfaction. Please give me a call at the office. My name is Chris too, and we'll get that resolved as soon as possible. 9 times out of 10, the person doesn't ever come back. And 3 months later, when somebody sees that review and sees that response to me, they're going to go, it must have been taken care of. Good opportunity there. So key takeaways here with machine learning. Let's just do this. And then we also need to think about our teams, right? So we're going to do that. So the key takeaways on the machine learning side, right? So feed the machine. We're going to just put that. Feed the machine. Okay, that means that creative content using the dynamic keyword in the dynamic headlines, right? Those kind of things. Make sure you're doing that. Use smart ads. Test smart ads out. Basically, upload the photos. If they're asking you to upload photos, right? Good ones. Break out. Yeah, I'm going to run the room if I keep going over with these stuff. Break out to, especially going to use like smart ads or any of these. Focus on those campaigns and create them around these really strong keyword-oriented focuses, right? So we have a physician's client, right? So we're going to go around practice areas. Well, not just practice areas of, let's say, ADHD, but we're also going to go around practice areas related to certain information we know about the patient's potential journey, right? Diagnosis, treatment, doctor, right? Those diagnosis or even what ifs, right? Those are very prospective. This person doesn't know they potentially have this illness and wants to test it out versus ADHD doctor, ADHD medications. That's a different audience member. So create your campaign buckets around that. Let Google do the work. When you add that creative, test a whole bunch of different creative in there. Okay, as best you can anyway, because Google's not always being transparent in terms of which ones of those things are actually working well. But either way, go ahead and test that stuff a lot. Feed that machine. Let Google do that math and do that work and track us and give us better ads, right? So that's the first thing. Feed the machine. Now, part of this too is making sure that when we feed the machine, like when you got up this morning, there's certain patterns in your behavior in terms of what you ate and what you did when you when you rolled yourself out of bed and you started your day, right? That might be starting the coffee. That might be going to the restroom first. brushing the teeth, washing them, whatever it is that your normal process is, you have to know what that process is. So the other key takeaway is don't assume you know what to feed the machine with. It is a very good time to do a market plan. Seriously, I can't spell. A good market plan is going to have data that drives those decisions. It's going to look within the organization. So when we do a market plan, there's basically three components, right? There's the organization, especially the C-level drivers, right? The C-suite. What they believe, what keeps them up at night, what are those top products, where's the industry going, all that stuff. That might be sales teams and things like that. That's one leg of the stool. The second leg of the stool is the target customer, right? So we're going to use keyword insight with this, but we're also going to use data from like IBIS research and things like that. We're going to use third-party organizational data. We're going to use anything that we can get. We're going to use our own internal data, right, in terms of that to kind of marry up with trends and things like that. But the third one we're also going to do is a competitive analysis. Those are the three legs of the stool that need to be there in a market plan. You get those kind of swirled together, get all those facts on the table. You can then start to see patterns, right? Create your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. You mix those up even further. And when you do that, you can now do a vision statement or a mission statement, right? This is who we are. This is what makes us special and different. And from there, then, with those other tactical pieces like the keyword insight, like the target market, the target customer, marketing persona that we're going after, we can then develop the specific content strategy that's going to be required over the next 3, 6, 10, 12 months, right, in order to get where we need to go. So hope that helps. But a market plan is exceedingly effective. Now, third, kind of like what they're saying is test, tune, and test it again. I'm going to say your market plan, you have the strategy things in there, but one of the things that you need to do is make sure that it's trackable. This is one thing I am running kind of, I'll be real honest with you. Some of these larger organizations need to really get serious about tracking stuff. And what I mean by that, the actual sales data is one thing. Like that's one thing. But what I'm talking about, and we mentioned it before in last week's, a lot of us are in sales organizations. Salespeople have a challenge with that. CRM, right? Because the fact is, if we were to do this right, doubling, tripling conversions is not going to be hard. Boosting average order size 20, 30, 40% is not hard. But the fact is we need to be transparent with our organizations so that things are trackable and these things relate well together. Okay? Because you bring a lead in, it costs you money. Yes, if they didn't buy right now, it becomes a sales opportunity, right? This implementation is really, really important. So out of all of the things that are required, and we talk about machine learning, you guys. Machine learning is giving, you need to know the output. Google's going to handle this side of it. Okay? But you don't even, this is a distribution tool. Like this is PPC, this is SEO, this is YouTube, right? This may be like Facebook at some point, although we don't do it too much with that. But basically, these are distribution tools. This is where the rubber hits the road, okay? So the fact is, why am I talking about this in light of machine learning? Because just like that very first point, remember the first point in the slide? What was the thing? You got to have a goal, right? Got to have a goal. I know it sounds simple, but until we bring these things together, this becomes more futile and difficult, right, to get our hands around. So I guess as we look over this, as we align our methods and our processes around like this, yes, consider your teams, consider the skill set, but your teams come directly as a result of that market plan. This is the strategy. Remember, good people and a great process. Okay, so I hope that helps today. I think there were a lot of good nuggets to take from this specific piece with Google this morning. The Think with Google. The title of the specific email for all of us was Machine Learning for Marketers, but I wanted to take it up several notches to the C-levels who honestly, we are on top of this stuff. Theoretically, we get it, but I think there's an opportunity to connect some of the really top pontificating points, the 85% that believe that it's really going to be important, and some of the tactical pieces that need to be there. So if you need help with that, feel free to reach out. I am available. You can call Doc29 here. You can schedule something. You can go to ROI by Chris. It plugs directly in my calendar. We can set up a 15-minute web consult. Love to hear from you. Again, 2022 can be an awesome year for you. So let's start doing some of those things that are going to need to be there in order to make us even more successful and happy in 2022. Thank you very much for joining me today. Again, my name is Chris Bernard. Thank you for joining me at the 11 a.m. Monday Morning Marketing Webcast. Make it a great week, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.